Going to parties, celebrating birthdays, or marking holidays almost always plays out the same way. The moment you arrive, you feel this unspoken pressure to eat and drink whatever is on the table. And having to refuse again and again just makes things awkward. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Your grandma spent half the day cooking amazing food, and you're going to walk in and say no because you're serious about losing weight? Sure, in theory, you could decline. But in real life, we all know how that ends. It's incredibly hard not to give in under that kind of pressure. You don't just say no to your grandma. I used to struggle with this exact problem. That's what made me think about how I could eat almost unlimited amounts of food, fully enjoy myself, and still not destroy all my progress. And I actually came up with a really smart solution that I want to share with you today. If you've ever dieted before, you know that losing weight requires a calorie deficit, and that deficit disappears instantly when grandma starts offering food or when your friends push you to drink. At that point, it feels like you're doomed either way. But there is a method that can actually fix all of this. To understand it, you first need to understand how a calorie deficit really works. So let me give you a simple example. Let's say your maintenance calories are around 2,500. Now we apply a 500 calorie deficit, which brings you down to 2,000 calories per day. That number is how much you need to eat each day to keep losing weight. The second you go over that number, you're actively hurting your progress. Imagine you're sticking to a 500 calorie deficit every day. Then you go to a friend's birthday, drink too much, and eat a ton of junk food. That means you take in a lot of extra calories. Let's say you end up eating about 2,000 calories above your target. Do you know what that actually means? It means you just erased 4 full days of dieting. Each of those days you were in a 500 calorie deficit, but one single party day completely wiped out all that effort. What I'm trying to show you is that your calorie target isn't tied to just one day. A calorie deficit works because it's spread over a long period of time. In fact, if you wanted to, you could calculate your calories for an entire month ahead of time. So let's assume that 2,000 calories is the daily amount you need to keep losing weight. If you multiply that by 30 days, it comes out to 60,000 calories. That's the total number of calories you can eat in a whole month. And honestly, it doesn't really matter how those calories are spread out during that month. Some days can be higher and some can be lower. But what truly matters is that by the end of the month, you're still under that 60,000 calorie mark. So I'm going to give you a pretty extreme example to make this even clearer. This is just for explanation, and you definitely shouldn't try this because it's completely unrealistic. You could eat 10,000 calories every day for the first 6 days, and then eat absolutely nothing for the rest of the month, and you would still lose weight. This is for explanation only. Extreme dieting like this is unhealthy and not recommended. I think you can see what I'm getting at now, and this idea is really important for the trick I want to show you. This trick lets you enjoy parties, birthdays, holidays, or any other event without feeling guilty at all. It works the same way as that example, just in a much more reasonable way. Let's say you know you're going to a birthday party on Friday, and today is Monday, so you have 4 days before it happens. What you want to do is slightly increase your calorie deficit during those 4 days. For example, instead of sticking to a 300 calorie deficit like you normally would, you go into an 800 calorie deficit for those 4 days. That means you're saving an extra 500 calories each day, and over 4 days, that adds up to 2,000 calories. That means when you go to the party, you now have an extra 2,000 calories that you can kind of spend because you saved them ahead of time. So even if you eat more than usual, you'll most likely still end up in a calorie deficit overall. And once the party is over, you can go right back to your normal 300 calorie deficit, or whatever amount you were using before, and continue your diet like nothing changed. Now yes, this does require some extra effort and planning. It's not some magic trick that makes all the extra food and alcohol disappear, but it really puts things into perspective, and makes you stop and think about whether all that unhealthy food and drinking is even worth it. Because now you clearly remember how hard those days were when you had to push your calorie deficit even more just to save a few extra calories. And then you eat a slice of birthday cake or something like that, and suddenly a couple of days of progress are gone in seconds. That realization makes you see that those unhealthy foods really aren't worth it. For me, this hit me early on in my tracking journey. I spent about an hour rucking and saw that I burned a little over 500 calories in that time. I remember thinking, wow, nice, I earned that. But then you look at a small bag of chips in the store and notice it has around 500 calories. And that's when it really sinks in. I could eat that whole bag in about 30 seconds, but it would take me an entire hour of sweating to burn it off. Once you understand that, you don't even want to cheat on your diet anymore. You know how much work it takes to undo it, and that brings us to how you actually make your calorie deficit bigger for those few days. You definitely don't want to cut protein from your diet. That needs to stay exactly the same. The calories you'll most likely reduce will come from carbs. So for example, if I'm eating 100 grams of rice at lunch, I'll cut that down to 50 grams for the next few days when I plan to lower my calories even more. Little changes like that can easily save a few hundred calories. Another option is to completely take out carb sources from some meals during those days. So instead of having chicken with rice, I'll skip the rice and add more chicken along with extra vegetables. What I really want to make clear about this whole nutrition trick is that it should only be used the way I described, just for a couple of days when you know you're getting ready for an event where you'll probably overeat. This should never be used to try to rush weight loss or anything like that. The reason is that putting yourself in a huge calorie deficit for a long time is not something you want to do. I understand why it can seem super effective at first. For the first few weeks, the scale goes down and everything feels like it's working, but that won't last. It's only temporary, and it can turn into a nightmare really fast. You'll start feeling way hungrier, your sleep will get worse, and your performance in the gym will drop quickly. After that, it's only a matter of time before you hit a breaking point. And when that happens, all the suffering you went through won't be worth it. Your weight will shoot right back to where it started, and you'll be lucky if you don't end up even heavier than before. Overall, this trick can be really helpful if you use it the right way. I actually got the idea from watching what competitive eaters do to stay in shape. You might wonder how so many competitive eaters stay fit when it looks like they're eating over 10,000 calories in one sitting. The truth is they're basically doing the same thing I explained here, just in a more extreme version. After all, they eat way more food in one event than most of us ever would. To balance out those massive calorie days, most of them stick to high-protein, low-calorie foods like Greek yogurt and drink a lot on their off days. They really don't eat much when they're not competing. If you remember what I explained earlier, you can now see how they manage to stay fit, even while eating the craziest meals. You just have to step back and look at how everything averages out over time. You can use this approach too, just don't go overboard and only use it the way I described. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.